The next topic that we are going to say is discuss about internet. First we will see evolution of internet. In the year 1960 we had some traces of internet. Later the United States of America, that is US, want to have a network that will work even if a portion of a particular network damages due to some disaster. There comes the first internet, which was started by Advanced Research Project Agency, that is ARPA, A-R-P-A, Advanced Research Project Agency. This agency have developed a network called ARPANET. This has some features, and this acts as a base for the current internet that we have. In the year 1970, this Advanced Research Project Agency, they have developed a protocol called TCP/IP. TCP/IP. This is the expansion for TCP is Transfer Control Protocol and IP is Internet Protocol. This is basically a connection oriented service where initially you need to establish a connection between two systems and the data will be transferred from one system to another system and the processing will be done and it will be acknowledged. This is the this protocol will work like this. Initially you need to establish a connection and the data transfer will be done. Then later in 1980, National Science Foundation used ARPANET to link 5 regional universities supercomputers. Then they, after some time, later in 1980s, what they have done, they have introduced one more network called NSF-NET. NSF-NET. And this was for quite some time this was very popular, and in the 1990s people who have started using internet in a larger scale, where we had a particular utility, that is whatever that we are using is the sophisticated browser, but earlier days we used to have a browser. It will be in two form. One is the text based browser and next one is the GUI based browser, that is graphic user interface based browser. In text based browser we need to type the command, that is in command prompt we will be having a command prompt, in that we need to type and we need to get the information. Initially we need to connect it to the particular system and we need to share the data, or we need to get the data from that particular system. These are the things which were possible in 1990. So it was become more popular. In the 1993, people have conducted one survey and they identified totally there were only 130 websites. But now there are millions of websites that are available here. You can share the information and you can do. Now there is one big problem, maintaining the data, web data, because every day huge amount of data is being generated and it is being stored in the web. So now there is one challenge which we need to find a solution for it. How we can maintain this particular data. And in 1990s we have introduced a particular service called World Wide Web, frequently abbreviated as WWW. After providing this particular service, people have started using this internet for many purposes, and this is what we are in the stage. We are in the stage of using these types of services, and we have also got Usenet and emails. All these were introduced during the period 1990s and the later on. We have used the for mail transfer we have used one protocol called SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, and for transferring files from one place to another place we have used FTP, File Transfer Protocol, and for remote login we have used Telnet. All these things were introduced, and we have we have many web protocols using which we can do some advanced programming, and we can share some resources like your multimedia resources, audio, videos, everything you can share and it can be viewed, and you can upload videos, you can download videos. Everything is possible in present scenario. This is about evolution of internet. Next we are going to see the basic terms that we use in internet. Now we are going to discuss about the basic internet terms. First we are going to see what is a web page. A web page is an electronic document generally designed using a language, a computer language called HTML, hypertext markup language. You can just see, suppose you want to browse some information. Of course we are exposed to all these things. Suppose if you want to browse something, what you will be doing, you will be typing something www.google.co.in. So this www.google.co.in is an URL. We will come back to this. If you just give that, it will display a page. And basically this particular website is intended to give a search engine where you will be displayed with a client screen, and in that it will be asking for some string or something, whichever you want to search in the total internet. So it is one particular thing. So as soon as you give that, the web page will be displayed, and after that you can just see some text or some string. It will be called as hyperlinks. If you just click that, you can jump to another web page where a different information will be displayed, and from there you can come back to this particular. All these things are possible. So such an electronic document which is designed using a HTML is called a web page, and it is also called as HTML document. Next, coming to website, collection of related web pages in a particular place is called website. Then coming to home page, suppose or you can just say the first page or your own. Suppose if you are having a company, the very first page that you want to display, okay, and the particular page that you want to have it as your home page, that is whenever you want to browse it, the first page will be displayed, and that particular HTML document is called as home page. This you can configure. Suppose if you want to have Yahoo Mail as your home page, or you want to have some other thing as you can have it. You can configure this. Next comes to browser. This is very, very important thing, which the browser actually it will do, it will compile the HTML document and give the display in user understandable form. So the browser is a very powerful tool. You have two types of browsers. As I said earlier, one is the text browser, next one is GUI based browser. Now we are using GUI based browsers, and some examples of browsers are your Mozilla Firefox and Internet Explorer. All these are examples of browser. They are very powerful tools. This will compile, and it will also compile the JavaScript, and it will be able to give the display, and all these things are possible with your browsers. And it is every time when you have a new version, a new features are added to this browser to suit the needs. All these things were possible using browsers. Next come to URL. Using URL only you will be able to access a particular web page. Each URL will be having few components. We will see what are those components in the next session. But URL is the address, general address for each and every page. Each and every web page will be uniquely identified using this URL. For example, I said earlier, www.google.co.in is the URL for Google search engines client's web page. So it will be displayed, and you can do it. I'll again explain this Google and their components in detail. Next we will see what is a hypertext. So if you are writing a text document using this hyperlinks and tags, this particular text is called hypertext. And using this hypertext, you can just switch from one page to another page. You can move you can move one particular data to another particular. One particular form to another form using different design, vegetable design. And next is ISP, Internet Service Providers. When we are going to discuss about this internet service providers, there is if you want to have internet connection, you need to have a computer, and you need to have a modem, and you need to definitely have a service provider. Now you have Airtel, you have Hathway, you have Sifi, you have BSNL. All these people are service providers. So these people will provide internet connection to you so that you can access through some means. There are a good number of methods using which you can just connect your system to internet. That we will be seeing later. But the service providers are there is internet service providers to the home. Next, coming to web servers. See, web servers, actually it is a computer. There is a web server. You can call one particular thing as you can consider as a software, and there is one particular web server which is capable of executing this software servers in it. Those things are hardware servers. But we are going to discuss about this. We will discuss both the things. These web servers, it will be available in one particular location, which will be having which is capable of processing millions of requests simultaneously, and it will be having huge data space. You can store any amount of information depending upon the size. There is data storage capability of each and every server. This is with respect to your hardware. Coming to your software servers, you have web servers like Apache, Tomcat. All these things are web servers which is capable of executing, which are capable of processing the client request in the server machine, and will be giving the result to the client system. All these things are possible, and these are when you consider as a hardware, it is an hardware web server, and when you consider as software, the software also has some web servers, as I said earlier. Next, two terms: upload and download. Suppose you want to store some information from your client system to web server, it is called as upload. Similarly, when you want to get some information from the web server, it is download. Next, online, offline. When you are connected on, there is lively in the internet, then you are in the state of online. If you are not connected in the lively to the internet, then it is called as offline. So these are the basic internet terms which we will be frequently using. Next, we are going to see an URL and various components of URLs and how they what protocol that we are using, and what is www, what is the domain name, and what is the type name, what is domain type, and what is the web page name. All these things, what is path, all these things, components makes one particular URL. We are going to discuss that particular part next. This URL, it is abbreviation of Uniform Resource Locator. Now we will see one example, and we will just divide these things. http://www.google.co.in. Here, HTTP is the protocol which is used for this accessing this particular web page. Next, www is one particular service using which you are going to access one web page. So this expansion is World Wide Web. And next is the important part. It is the domain name. It is a domain name. Google is the domain name which you are going to access. In this particular domain, the page you want to access will be followed by this slash. You can give index.html or some other page.html. Everything is possible, and you can access it. Now, this is very important. This will give you the domain type and country name. First is co. So this is the recent version of your Google. Earlier we used to have www.google.com. That .com is for company, and .gov is for government. Similarly, you will be having various classification, and similarly for .net. It is internet service providers. So similarly, we will be having different types of domain type, and this will be followed by the country abbreviation. For example, if this particular domain is available in India, you will be having IN. Suppose if you are having in France, it will be having FR. Similarly, for other countries, you will be having the other abbreviations is accepted as as a website URL, and this will give you the path. For example, you will be having index.htm or py. So these are the some files which you can access. Suppose if you are going to access a HTML file, it will be index.htm. If you are going to access Python file, it will be .py. So this is how the URL is used to access a particular web page over your internet. Next, we are going to see to have internet in your PC. What are all the requirements? And in services also, you have different type of services like your cable modem, dial-up, ISDN, and all these things you have. We are going to discuss that particular thing in the next session. In this session, we are going to discuss how we are going to make an internet connection. First, we will see what are all the requirements. You need to have a TCP/IP based web browser. TCP/IP based web browser. Then you need to have a computer. Then you need to have an subscription with ISP. You need to have you need to be a subscriber for any ISP provider, that is internet service provider. So subscription with ISP. Then a particular tool which will convert the analog signal to digital signal, thus modem. So these are all the requirements to have internet connection. Now, first we will see the computer requirements. You need to have a computer, and with basic features, you need to have either a particular COM port so that you can connect an external modem, or nowadays you have a particular motherboard which comes with internal modem, or sometimes suppose if you are using there is a connection like broadband or DSL, you can use the Ethernet card. So all these things are possible. You can use the Ethernet card for your internet connection, where the DHCP will be assigning one particular IP address, using which you can just directly communicate to your server. All these things were possible. Now, after that, coming to your modem. Modem is a device, electronic device, which will convert the analog to digital signal. You can use your telecommunication line, there is a telephone wire, to get your internet connection. Initially, we were having there is a dial-up connection in which you will be using the same telephone line, and you will be connecting that particular line or J10 cable to your modem. And from modem, you will be connecting a particular you will be having one particular cable. Using that particular cable, you will be connecting you will be transferring data from modem to your computer system using the COM port. This was earlier setup where the data speed were usually in KBs. Later, they introduced there is ISDN, and this was a high-speed network where we will be able to transfer the data at faster rate, and you will be having there is a decent transfer rate, and you can upload the details. All these things are possible. Next, we have leased line. Suppose you want to have data transfer rate in MBs, then you need to go for leased line. And similarly, you need to subscribe with an ISP providers, and you need to get the leased line. And next, you have something called DSL. It will also have a modem, but it works in a different way. The earlier version of your dial-up modem will work as an analog device, but this is a digital device. Here, the main advantage is you can continue working with your system. That is, you can the connection of the internet connection will go on even if you have a phone call. simultaneously you can attend phone call as well as your internet connection. That is the advantage of your DSL. And next service is cable modems. Now your Airtel app launched this cable modems. There is using your internet, using your television, you can browse the information and you can see there is movie on demand. All these things are possible using cable modems. And you have the broadband. Now almost all service providers are providing this particular type of internet connection, broadband. The data rate will be very fast. You will be having a broadband modem which you will be connecting to your computer, either using your this particular Ethernet card and or the other ports which are available. Using that, you can able to establish a connection through the internet service provider, and you can connect. You can get the information from the World Wide Web. All these things are possible, but you need to have the thing. There is the requirements. First, you need to have a browser using which only you will be able to communicate. You will be able to access link, and this browser is capable of compiling the HTML documents and displaying the HTML. There is the electronic content that is available, and you need to have a browser and the remaining things as we discussed in this session. So these are the requirements. With this, you will be able to connect to the internet. In this session, we are going to see how we are going to get internet connection to our computer. Getting connected to internet. First, you need to have TCP/IP enabled computer with web browser. As I said earlier, the web browser is very important software which will allow us to compile the HTML documents and display in the format in which the source is written. Now, after this, you need to have the computer with browser, TCP/IP enabled computer with browser. Next, you need to have subscription with ISP. You need to have a subscription with internet service provider. Airtel is there, BSNL is there, Hathway. Similarly, there are a good number of service providers are there. You need to get subscription from that. Then only it is possible for us to get internet connection. Next, you need to have a modem. Modem is an electronic device which will convert the analog signal to digital signal. Now, we have discussed these things. Now we are going to see how the connections are classified, or the types of connections that we have, types of internet connection. First, we have dial-up connection. Dial-up connection will be having either internal or external modem, and we will be using the existing telephone line to have the internet access. This telephone line will have a RJ10 cable which will be connected to the modem, and you will be getting connection through the to the internet. This is first way where the speed or the bandwidth will be very less, and the speed data rate transfer will be in KB. Next, we had ISDN. It was mainly used for commercial purpose. After this ISDN, we have used leased lines. Most of the colleges, they will be college and universities, and there is some private sector where they will be using this leased lines, where the data transfer rate will be in MBs. After that, they have gone for one particular thing called cable modems, where you can use the television sets for browsing internet. And after that, we had the broadband which we are using now, and this is again all service providers are providing this broadband connection. The data transfer rate is high, and you can see movies, and everything is possible with your broadband connection. These are the few types of connections which we have, and you can use any connection depending upon your requirement, and you can browse the internet.